Hello students, welcome to the third part of third module. In this particular video I am going to explain you about vouchings of receipt or debit side of cash book. According to your syllabus there are 4 items to study in vouching aspect, that is opening balance, cash sales, proceeds of sale of investment and receipts from debtors. First one, opening balance. How to vouch opening balance? In this particular item, auditor is going to check 2 items, that is balance sheet of the previous year and cash book. The auditor must check the cash book balance shown in the audited balance sheet of the previous year, because the closing cash balance of the last year becomes the opening cash balance of the current year. That will be the documentary proof. Secondly, cash sales. In case of cash sales, the chances of frauds comparatively maximum, because in this item misappropriation of cash is very high. The auditor has to take utmost care while he was vouching cash sales. The auditor is going to check carbon copies of cash memos, sales invoices, cash sales summary, salesman's diary, counterfoils of receipt book while he was checking or vouching a cash sale. So there are certain points how he is going to check, what are the items he is going to check. In that, first one is internal check. The system of internal check should be examined with the objectives, whereas cash sale could be misappropriated. Therefore, the auditor should examine the effectiveness of the internal control system in operation with regards to cash sale very importantly. Secondly, checking of cash sales memos. Auditor should check the cash receipts or cash bills and compare it with the daily summaries of cashier and salesman. They have their own separate books of recording their own daily summaries. Auditor has to check those summaries with the cash sales memos. Thirdly, entries in the cash book. Auditor should verify the figures of the salesman in his summary and cashier summary entries in the cash book thoroughly, or else it leads to misappropriation of cash. Next point is giving guidance to client. What kind of guidance he can give to his client? If your internal check system or if your internal control system is found to be ineffective or defective, in that time the auditor will immediately report the dangers of frauds to his client. Okay, he will report all the frauds to his client, and also he can suggest some remedial measures of controlling those kind of frauds in the company. Next, comparison of cash book. Here auditor should compare the cash book with the general ledger, vouchers, and also he has to match all the entries in both the books. Next, checking of cash register. If cash register is maintained in the company, the auditor must check the total daily rolls with the entries in the cash book. Total daily rolls means total sales made in the company is equal to the total cash received against to such sales made in the company. Next, verification of date. The date of cash memo and the date of cash receipt, which are recorded in the cash book and general ledger, has to be same. If any differences is found, then the auditor will inquire the responsible officer who has maintained it. And finally, checking of price list. With regards to the cash sales, the auditor should obtain the price list and he has to verify, and he will give some instruction to the authorized person regarding the price list as well as vouchers. That is why internal check or internal control system must be effective and efficient to control such misappropriation of cash. The next important item here to vouch is proceeds of sale of investment. Though the investments are short term or long term, if the company sold such investment, then the auditor should consider the following steps. In those, first one, the auditor has to ensure that the sale of investment is made on the proper authorization and supervision of the board of directors. Secondly, when it comes to sales, if the sale of investment has been effected through a bank, the auditor should examine the bank advice to know the details of such sales proceeds. If the investments are sold through brokers, the auditor should check the broker's sales note or commission note to verify the sales proceeds and commission charged by the broker. Fourthly, if the investments are sold at cum dividend, auditor should see that the dividend has subsequently been received and the sale proceeds thereof have been apportioned between capital receipt and revenue receipt. And then, if the investments are sold on ex-dividend, the entry for it has to be properly checked by the auditor. And the auditor should also ensure that the proper disclosures are made as per the accounting standard number 13, okay, which is related to investment. Okay, here it is states two important things. One is interest, dividends and rentals on investment are to be shown in the profit and loss account at the gross value, and if any tax which are paid, then that should be treated as advance tax paid. Secondly, you have to show these sale of investments separately in carrying of the current and long term investment. So the last and important topic or an aspect here is vouching of receipts from debtors. This refers to cash collected from debtors against to credit sales. The cash received from customers to whom goods have been sold on credit. Here it can be vouched with the help of counterfoils of the receipts issued to them. But these counterfoils or carbon copies are not reliable and subjected to frauds. Auditor is going to verify the date and year on the counterfoil with those entering in the cash book as well as the serial number of that particular invoice, because it ensures that the unused counterfoil receipts are kept in safe custody. To create bad debts intentionally, the company can give you old or unused counterfoils receipt book from the previous year. So for this, to avoid these intentional creation of bad debts, auditor is going to vouch a transaction. To find out such intentionally bad debts creation, auditor is going to check all the aspects related to credit sales. Firstly, he is going to verify the bill. In a bill or a credit invoice, he is going to check name of the customer, quantity ordered, selling price, reference number or the serial number of that invoice, mode of delivery and date, and particulars relating to your tax as well as insurance of that particular goods. And he also checks the carbon copies of that particular invoice, because in this particular transaction, company gonna raise 3 copies of a challan. 1 copy will be with the dispatch counter clerk for future references after its dispatch of goods. Second copy will be sent along with the goods for a proof of dispatch of goods to the customer as well as company, and the final copy will be with the gatekeeper of the company to who maintains a goods outward register. If the order is received through an agent or a third party, that third copy of sales invoice should be sent to him for calculation of sales commission. Finally, sales department or account department will make an effort to collect the amount of sales invoice after the expiry date of that particular credit period. This is a normal transaction. This is just an example of the transaction. He is going to check these aspects first. Secondly, his duty will start. Okay, what are his duty? First duty will be checking of internal control system. Auditor should examine the internal control system or internal check system, internal auditing, everything prevailing in the company. If he is not satisfied with the internal control system, then he go for a detailed checking of the books of account. Secondly, he is going to check previous years unused counterfoils. ಪ್ರೀವಿಯಸ್ ಇಯರ್ಸ್ನ ಅನ್ಯೂಸ್ ಆಗಿರುವಂತಹ ಬಿಲ್ಗಳನ್ನ ಚೆಕ್ ಮಾಡ್ತಾನೆ. ಯಾವುದಾದ್ರೂ ಬಿಲ್ನ ಈ ಇಯರ್ ತಗೊಂಡಿದ್ದಾರಾ, ಯೂಸ್ ಮಾಡಿದಾರಾ. ಓಕೆ. ಥರ್ಡ್ಲಿ he is going to verify the date, year, bill number in the counterfoil and also with the correspondent books of accounts. Fourthly, sales register. Sales register should be examined with the copies of all the sales invoices, and again here also they will check date, year, selling price, and also whether that particular voucher or sales invoice related to the same financial year or not. Auditors should ensure that sale of capital item should not be recorded in sales account. Okay, sales book nalle agli, sales account nalle agli, whether the capital accounts sales, for example sale of fixed asset, if it is entered in that particular sales book, it is improper when related to fundamentals principles of accounting. So he is going to check whether any capital accounts entries are being made in the sales book. Again, he is going to check whether all the transactions are recorded in the books of account, no transactions are left unrecorded or omitted from the books of accounts. Finally, he carefully examines whether all the sales entries which are made in the books of accounts are current years, not the preceding year or not the previous year. Okay, and also he will keep all the cancelled sales invoices for verification, and he is going to verify trade discount allowed to customer. Okay, whether normal trade discount is given or high discount given to a particular group of debtors. Okay, everything is going to be checked because it also includes a fraud. Finally, the statement of accounts of debtors. He is going to verify debtor statement of their company if in case it is most needed for confirmation. Finally, he will check bad debts written off, but more attention is given to this while come to whether unused counterfoils or invoices which are used prevailing by the last year's books of accounts. Last year unused receipts ಏನಾದರೂ ಈ ಇಯರ್ನಲ್ಲಿ ಯೂಸ್ ಮಾಡಿ ಆ ಅಮೌಂಟ್ನ ನಾವು ತೋರಿಸ್ದೇನೆ ಅಥವಾ ಆ ಬಿಲ್ನ ತೋರಿಸ್ದೇನೆ ಅವರು ದುಡ್ಡು ಮಾಡ್ಬೋದು. ಸೊ ಆಡಿಟರ್ ಇಸ್ ಗೋಯಿಂಗ್ ಟು ಕಾನ್ಸಂಟ್ರೇಟ್ ಮೋರ್ ಆನ್ ಅನ್ಯೂಸ್ಡ್ ಕೌಂಟರ್ಫಾಯಿಲ್ಸ್ ಆಫ್ ದಿ ಪ್ರೀವಿಯಸ್ ಇಯರ್. ಮಿಕ್ಕಿದಕ್ಕೆಲ್ಲ ನಿಮಗೆ ಕಂಟಿನ್ಯೂಸ್ ಎಂಟ್ರಿ ಸಿಗ್ತಾ ಹೋಗುತ್ತೆ. ಬಟ್ ಲಾಸ್ಟ್ ಇಯರ್ ಬಿಲ್ ಏನಾದರೂ ಒಂದು ಯೂಸ್ ಮಾಡಿದರೆ ಆ ಅಮೌಂಟ್ ಪೂರ್ತಿ ಫ್ರಾಡ್ ಆಗುತ್ತೆ. ದಟ್ ಟು ಎಸ್ಪೆಷಲಿ ವಿತ್ ಕ್ರೆಡಿಟ್ ಸೇಲ್ಸ್. ಲಾಸ್ಟ್ ಇಯರ್ ಬುಕ್ಕು ಸಾಲ ಕೊಟ್ಟಿದ್ದಾರೆ, ಬಂದಿದೆಯೋ ಬಂದಿಲ್ವೋ, ಹೂ ಕೇರ್ಸ್. ಸೊ ಆಡಿಟರ್ ಇಸ್ ಗೋಯಿಂಗ್ ಟು ಚೆಕ್ ವೆದರ್ ದ ಟ್ರಾನ್ಸಾಕ್ಷನ್ is related to current year or not. Thank you for watching video.